Hello, everyone. Today I'm excited to present my personal or project 4, which was a personal finance Q&A with retrieval augmented generation, also known as RAG, and that's my project. So what this system does is addresses a very common problem that I faced, well, common like a lot of us face, which is getting insights from our financial data with while dealing with like instead of dealing with like manual analysis of like all these different entries. I wanted something that was a little bit smarter, that can has an aggregate knowledge of all my financial statements, and basically could uh, answer questions for me that are like in aggregate. So this started off as a thing where for like over a year now I've been maintaining all my financial transactions within like a Google spreadsheet. And this was I was tracking this across multiple different currencies because I right now have bank accounts in the U.S. obviously, but also in India, and and also in 2024 I studied abroad in Taiwan and also visited Thailand, and so I was using cash there. I also had a bank account there for the scholarship money that they were depositing, and so multiple like sources of funds, and I wanted one place for all of this to be in. And there's lots of different financial apps out there, but I found that Plaid is what's used as like the API link between like all these major banks, but it doesn't work as well with credit unions. I know UFCU, which is what my credit union is, straight up does not support it. And so that's the reason I've been having this spreadsheet where I just maintain it manually, but obviously that comes with caveats. Uh, I wanted to build an app that addresses that part for a while now, but for now, this project is just making this poor user experience of like actually analyzing my data a lot better. So my solution with RAG, it combines this with RAG to make a natural language model interface for my financial data, which allows me to ask questions in plain English and get insightful answers. So let me walk you through my system's architecture. So I was maintaining it on a Google Sheet, and then I made it. I just exported it as a CSV. So as you can see, I have the name, the amount transaction in USD, the amount transaction in Taiwan dollars, in Indian rupees, and Thai baht. The category, which is like the expense category, when the transaction took place, the date, and the source, which is which bank account did it come from, or which credit card was it used, or was it cash. And another thing was the currency used. I wanted this to support multiple currencies because there was like a lot of them, and if because my primary currency is the dollar, I wanted it to, when it makes like those natural language queries, I wanted it to just default to the U.S. dollar, and if the transaction used another currency, I wanted it in parentheses that this was the amount in dollars that was also spent. And so, first thing it does is it converts all these CSV transactions into natural language representation. So for each thing gets converted into, I believe I have it here. No, that's processed. Where is it? Descriptions. So all of these got turned into natural language descriptions right here. It's just a simple Python script for that. And then um, these descriptions are then embedded using all mini LM L6 V2 blah blah blah. It's from Hugging Face. That's the model for embedding these models, and then embedding these descriptions, and then what actually allows RAG to work is that these descriptions are stored in a vector database that allows for semantic search. And that's the very thing that allows you to type in something and see, and like the LLM gets to decide, or the vector database can decide like how similar are the things you put into this and like what you're trying to get out of it. So what happens is when I ask a question, it's encoded using the same exact encoding model that's being run on these natural um, language descriptions, and the system retrieves the most like semantically relevant transactions. And so that's also adjustable, by the way, because I found that like sometimes it struggled with doing the dynamic part, but I also have like a manual slider in there for that to do that, and I will demonstrate that later. Um, and then these transactions are while after the relevant transactions are actually, let me just show you the code. It's right here. You can see it obviously in the GitHub repo, but this is the code. So I have this is dynamic K, where it dynamically allots how many transactions are put into and fed into the LLM, but that's also manually adjustable if need be. And then these embeddings are then indexed in a FAISS, some Facebook vector database thing that allows for this efficient similarity search. So what happens is when I ask a question, it's encoding using the same embedded model. The system retrieves the most semantically relevant transactions, and then these are sent to Gemini, which is the model I'm using. I currently have the API key right there. Not the best for security, but that's how I'm doing it right now. And then and I'm basically using prompt engineering to produce an efficient response. So there's guidelines right there for the LLM and how it should respond in a proper way and how it should deal with these multi-currency transactions as well. So, and then the LLM, after it gets that, it generates a natural language response with these transactions and generates like financial insights that I'm looking for. So again, the tech stack is sentence transformers for embeddings, FAIs for the vector search on the database itself, Gemini API for the LLM, and I use Streamlit as like a demonstration tool because I felt Terminal was a little bit ugly, so I was using Streamlit for that. And then, so let's jump straight into the live demo. So this is what it looks like. Pretty simple, and so what you can do is you can just hit browse file. You can put in your CSV right there, and then you can choose an encoding. I don't know what all of these mean. I was just told these are the common ones, so I included them. I found that ISO was the one that's working best and not screwing up the decimals within my thing. So I've been using ISO. And so I hit process the data, and that does all the embeddings and stores it in the vector database and uses FAISS for that. And so now we're ready to ask a question, but also there's other tabs where you can see the entire thing and the text it generated for each one, and some simple analytics as well, like start date, end date, select currency, and the large X expenses that comes up within those days. But we're here for this. So let's just do the stuff from the report. So basic, right? How much did I spend on groceries in July? Pretty basic. So this thing I've sent to the CSV file is my transaction data from 2024. So this would be pulling up stuff from July 2024. Hit enter. So it automatically searches between those days right there, and it finds the automatic K retrieval is thought 6 relevant transactions, so it pulls it up. But if it's a data set with like a lot of transactions, it also splits it up into chunks, so that way Gemini isn't overwhelmed with the amount of information, and it can efficiently compute the total at the end. So I'm not, the prompt isn't too big. So it found that there are currency this. I shopped in TWD with cash, and it's in Taiwan dollars, but it converted to US dollars since that was my what's it called, default. But if I spent in US dollars, you can see that I was still in Taiwan here in Carrefour, but I spent using an American card, so I get to enter an American US dollar number, and it produced that exact number. So it maintains all that context within it, and then after it gets all of them, it just does the math and gives me a total right here and answers, and it gives me in transactions in both TWUSD and USD and TWD, and give it to me in USD for a comprehensive total. Tell me where all it came from. I used like multiple different accounts. Who knows why, but the information's there. Let's move on to something that uses more of these multi-currency comparisons. So let's say I wanted to know how much Taiwan dollars did I actually spend in like a specific month, and like how much is that in USD. So how much TWD did I spend in August, and give me a USD conversion at the end. Okay. So, click that. So now that like dynamic K went up to 55, you can see. So now it's splitting it up into chunks so that Gemini doesn't get overwhelmed. So I think that's going to take a bit. Yeah, I'm not cutting or anything, so this is just me talking as I'm doing it. Okay, so it split it into chunks. So it found that batch 1 was $166, batch 2 was $249, batch 3 was $778. So we asked how much Taiwan dollars I spent in each batch. Within that month, it split it up, and it gave me the total in TWD, and then it just summed up the US dollar equivalent, and it just did that based on the exchange rates provided within the individual transaction. So it made sure not to hallucinate as well and pull in outside information that may or may not be accurate. So it stayed within the data that it was given. So moving on, like a comparative temporal analysis. So say you're trying to stick to a budget, right? So let me ask it, did I spend more than USD 1000 on travel in quarter 3? So now we gave it a ceiling to see if we touch that ceiling, did we go over, or are we under, or like are we good or not? Which is what like you're looking for in this scenario, instead of like looking at like a graph or making a graph in general. This just does it for you. So it already did it, and so it gave me a list of the transactions that it's looking for. So this is all the travel ones I did. So as you can see, I took an eSIM and I classified it as a thing. Hotels, travel, all the Ubers, the train tickets there, bus tickets, and it got all of that information within for each month, so quarter 3, and then made an aggregate of it, and then gave it to me in US dollars, which is what I wanted. And it clearly answered the question, no, based on the provided data, I did not spend more than $1,000. So if I was sticking to a budget, and if I wanted to know if I'm over or under or not, there you go. It does it for you. And then I think that's around it. I just wanted to highlight the multi-currency support, the smart context retrieval, where it automatically can detect based on what's in the database itself how much it needs to actually retrieve, the natural language parsing, and that's really about it. I can show you my report as well. There's not much in here that I didn't summarize out loud, and you'll be reading it too, I guess. Is there anything here? Cover all the sections. Yep. Easy to follow. Lord, I hope so. Sources are the sources I used were basically a YouTube video on integrating the RAG into an app, and both the documentation for Streamlit. I did not, how to use Streamlit, and then the Gemini API as well. And then 2 just papers on how LLMs interact with things, and this was helpful. Interact with the prompts that are given, and this was helpful for like creating the chunks part of it, where I split the thing up into chunks, and this was good as well for what's it called? Oh my god. On the actual passing from the vector database into the LLM. This was good for that. And yeah, that's really it. In the future, basically, I want to expand into, I think I covered it here, like any anomaly. So like, I don't have comparison between months right now. So like, if I wanted to know if I spend more on groceries in Q3 compared to Q2, it currently cannot do that. I want to add that feature. Anomalies, obviously, if I took a giant trip in a certain month, I would want to know if it's like out of the ordinary and like calculating an average. I'm not exactly sure how to go about that in terms of like um without overwhelming the LLM right now, because that was a big struggle in when developing this. And then obviously, as I said before, the main goal was this was an app that does all of like the tracking itself first, and have the ability to put in manual transactions. And this is just something within that app that helps you keep on track of the stuff that you're doing. And it all the app would have budgets as well, and that information would get passed into the LLM as well, and then it would effectively help you. You can just converse with something that lets you know how good are you doing in terms of like your spending. And yeah, that's really about it. Thank you for listening. How do I pause this?